I'd like to call the meeting to order for Monday, May 22nd, 2023 at 6 p.m. Could everyone please stand, face the flag for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Amen.
All right. Susan, would you like to do a roll call, please?
Sure. Andrews,
Present.
Walsh,
Present.
LaRose, present. Layton,
Present.
Stasinski,
Present.
Reardon.
All right, thank you. All right. Is there any conflict of interest with the agenda? All right. I'd like to make a motion to approve the agenda for Monday, May 22nd, 2023 at, I don't need the time, but can I get a second? 6:02.
Do we need support?
Yes.
I'll support.
All right. Motion by Andrus, supported by Walsh. All in favor?
Do you want to add these minutes on, or do you want to do these next month?
Let's add them on. Yes?
Okay. Yeah, sorry.
I mean, it's,
I mean, you're gonna be talking about it. It can, either way, I know that they're just showing up on your desk tonight, so if you want to wait until next month so you get a chance to read them, you can do that too.
Okay.
We would just need to add that under.
Yeah.
the April
All
payment.
right. Well, we'll restart that then. All right. I'd like to make an approval for the agenda, including the attachment from the notes for the parks tour. Add that to it. Need to add that as, would that be a report?
You can do it under approval of minutes, item 6.
Okay. We'll add that for the approval for the minutes, number 6 from March 20th, 2023.
I'll second that.
All right. Motion by Andrus, second by Walsh. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. All right. Is there any public comment?
No.
All right. All right. Need to approval of the minutes from March 20th, 2023. Is there any issues anyone noticed on the minutes?
April 17th. Got the wrong number here.
Oh, I didn't change it?
April 17th,
Okay.
right?
So, yeah, you're right. March 20th should be April 17th.
Oh, on the agenda?
Yeah.
I do that all the time.
I think I changed it unless I must have closed out, didn't save it or something.
You got to do something else.
Yeah.
make a motion to approve the minutes from the last meeting, which was Monday, April 17th, as presented.
Second that.
Right. Motion by LaRose, second by Walsh. All in favor?
Right?
Aye.
Any opposed? Right, motion passes. All right, correspondence,
Minutes, other minutes.
Then the park tour minutes?
We have approval of the park.
oh, we gotta approve,
Yeah.
okay, because that was 6,
Yeah.
okay.
Sorry.
I didn't know if it went in under 6, since we added it, but, no, all right. So, need a,
Oh, you had a different 6. I had it up under minutes. instead of new business? Is that the 6 you were talking about?
Mm,
Wherever.
Okay. All right, so we'll make a motion to approve the
Does
minute.
anyone have any questions
Oh, I was
about
we're
that?
gonna discuss it, yeah.
Because I will let you
Sure.
know that every park, like we had discussed, was the immediate action and then the future action. So each park that we talked about has those two different bullet points.
Well, we could still make the motion in second, because then you have the discussion, right?
Yeah.
Either way.
Okay.
So if you wanted
Do
to
we, okay,
make the motion, I'll second it
okay.
to discuss.
All right. I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes from the Parks Tour on Monday, May 15th, and then we'll discuss.
I'll second that.
Motion by Andrus, second by Walsh. All right, now we can discuss. Is anyone getting ringing?
Yeah. You gotta hit your microphone. I'm not kidding.
Just keep hitting it? Okay. I just can't focus with the ringing. But, okay, so Susan was saying that there's immediate actions that need to be taken place and then future actions. I guess everyone was at the Parks Tour last week. Is there any questions regarding Susan's notes that she typed up?
I want to make sure for the Grace McDonald, because I think Corey's the one who mentioned there was no rules posted at that park. And then, did I add that in there?
We were maybe call and find out what happened to that big, huge thing of rules that was posted on the sidebar. Or-
No, that did not happen from me.
Now that we approved it, we should add for immediate action, rules of the park sign. I'm sure it's around here somewhere. I don't know if we need that huge, big one,
I
but
guess we didn't do our due diligence and walk around either to see if it was really moved.
I didn't notice it.
It's not there. It
Okay.
hasn't been
I
there,
walked
Yeah.
around,
it hasn't
yeah.
been there for a very long time,
Yeah.
and this,
So I thought it was there last year.
Is that park rule sign unique to Grace McDonald, or is it just in
It's-
our park rules?
it's the universal park rules that's at all the parks.
I was gonna say-
But did we didn't look in the trifold or,
I did.
did you? Okay.
Yeah, it wasn't in
Okay.
there. I
And
looked
the-
on
and
Not
both,
yet.
I looked on both sides of the barn for that sign, where the rules,
The trifold.
Well,
like where the eight. the
Oh,
eight
it's
foot-
huge. It's like the size of the wall behind.
but I didn't know if they replaced it with a smaller
Well, I would
version.
hope not, since we made them all the same for a reason.
Sure.
It's not there. I'm sitting in alert
Um,
to remind me to follow up on that.
We can ask Bob about it.
Yeah.
When's his last day? Is it?
30th.
Oh, okay.
I'll give him something to do tomorrow.
Bob, get your feet off the desk and go find our sign.
Okay.
I mean, some of these, I know in question, it's further on the agenda about the Spark grant, so we could discuss that, that this might come into play, some of that as a thought.
A lot of these, I see that, you know, we have the future action, but then it makes me think, like for Pine Grove Park, you know, I think it would make, for a situation like that one, I think it would make sense to almost do like a, you know, park overhaul on that. I mean, because, you know, the play structure isn't really accessible to anyone, so I mean, making it accessible to get to the play structure doesn't make sense. So, I mean, I'd rather, you know, put something in place that, you know, everyone could use if we're gonna go that direction. If, you know, that's if that park's even, you know, on the priority.
I mean, we can discuss this up on our agenda item, but we can always refer back to these notes, because we, as part of one, if not the second in command, is making ADA accessibility to all parks across all of our parks,
Yeah.
which was a top number one priority.
Yeah.
So anyways, just food for thought for the future discussion.
Yeah, it looks like we're talking about
Right.
debriefing a 9E business before the park, so,
Exactly.
but, okay. So the minutes, good as is with the addition. Do we need a, won't really need, do we need to approve the minutes again on that? Or is that just, or was that,
Still a motion on the floor.
Right, you just need to vote on the motion to approve them. What did you want to change to them?
We wanted to add
Should I-
number 16 under Grace McDonald, rule sign, to repost the rule
Okay.
sign.
So you can just do a friendly amendment to amend your motion to add number 16.
okay.
And then if Ryan supports it, you're good to go. You can vote on it then.
Okay, I'd like to make a amendment for the minutes for the Parks Tour to add in Grace McDonald Park, number 16, find and reinstall the park rule sign.
Support.
Motion by Andrus, support by LaRose. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion passes. Okay. Correspondences,
We had a couple that came through last month, so I'll just mention them, just so that we can acknowledge that we received them. But you should have all received them because they went to the PKS. So we had
Mhm.
one from Michelle Whitcup about psychiatric crisis facility in Indian Trail by Pine Grove Park. So that was forwarded on to planning and zoning as potential enforcement. And then received an email from Matt Cortade with a follow-up from Beth Friend about the elected Parks Commission with some comments and responses to that. And I believe that was it. Oh, there was an email that was from an Allison Waybrandt that she had watched a meeting and wanted to know about more information to kind of get involved or to find out about it.
yeah. There was another email too, was it for short-term rentals as well?
Oh, yep, there was one about short-term
Um,
rentals, and I guess I didn't even mention that one because that doesn't have to do with the Parks
No,
Commission, so
but
that was-
it was,
Yep, you're
yeah.
right. Yes,
okay.
so we don't have anything outstanding that's looking for a response, based on the ones that I have.
Mhm.
Did anybody reach out to that young lady?
Yes, yes.
Great.
It wasn't, yeah, it was, I thought there was a reply to it, encouraging her to
Right, attend a meeting.
attend a meeting. Okay. Does anyone have any questions on any of that, or is everyone aware of those emails? Okay. All right, moving on. Reports. Looks like we have the treasurer's report here. Is there any questions, or Sarah, can you?
I have no comments, there were just a couple of payments that were made last month.
In March?
There was a March and April attached to,
Right, but, oh, attorney fees, I think. If I'm reading this right, it looks like supplies and attorney fees in March, and then just attorney fees in April. Well, other than payroll and board meeting,
yeah.
typical.
So yeah, Placecraft has been a majority of your attorney engineer grant fees. Or, I'm sorry, attorney engineer,
I said it right.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's just duplicate, the number.
Okay. Well, if there's no other questions, it seems like didn't spend a whole lot, other than our typical expenses, so. Okay. All right, reports, 8B, subcommittee report, community garden. Susan, do you have any?
We're not currently meeting. It was pretty much, Elise had come the last meeting and discussed the final management plan, there are some still unresolved issues with that. We were trying to get, which I'm not sure, maybe you might know, Sarah, that the to-be-determined amounts that the engineer had, did those come through?
I have
We
not
know.
seen anything,
Okay.
and I haven't reached out to Elise about it. I didn't know if you were still meeting as a community garden subcommittee or not, or anything like that.
No,
Okay.
not yet. There's some irons in the fire. The next step, I'm meeting with Beth tomorrow
Okay.
to discuss the to-be-determines, where those are at, is Elise. And then I think we still have to do more of the management plan as far as the expenses, or what are the needs there. So that's what I was going to finalize with Beth. And go from there, see what comes of that.
Okay, thank you, Susan. Did anyone have any other questions involving?
I'm curious, like, what's the anticipated timeline for trying to get the garden going? Like, what are we hoping for, like, how soon? Like,
Well, I mean, the next step, once we finalize this, is to get money, and to get board buy-in to the project. So the thought was to try to have, a meeting with the board. In speaking with Beth a little bit this last month, everybody kind of has a busy summer, so there might be an opportunity when we're bringing the park and rec plan forward to the board to also kind of do a deeper dive, like into the community garden and maybe some other project.
okay,
At that time, to try to coordinate, because that's one of the projects where they haven't really been involved in it, and it's a big project, so.
okay.
And it's still unresolved. I mean, there was amounts in here, a suggestion for cost of membership, and, we didn't overly discuss that in our final meeting with the library and the other members that were there, and also the stipend. So I do have some questions to sit down with Beth to get those finalized.
I just
And the-
wanted-
and how it's going to be ruled, basically.
Yeah.
And what are the garden rules? We haven't even dove into that yet, at all.
I mean, is that something that could be planned, though, like, once the design is approved and moved forward to get built? I know we have to do the
I think
funding
so. I
source.
think
I just
so.
didn't want to, have it drag out too much longer,
I think it already has, and I don't believe, I think Elise is done, I think, with her part. I'm not sure, but I think she's completed her part. I don't know, I was hoping she was going to make the presentation once it does come to the board, that she will be there.
Give
I
us a
thought-
presentation, didn't she, a couple months?
She had the Parks Board, but she had offered when she was here last
The
month to
township
come to
board.
the township
Oh,
board.
Yeah, and I
gotcha,
think she
gotcha.
had offered. So there's a lot of unanswered questions that need to be done. And I think Beth would like to have everything set, that we've figured out the cost, how it's going to be managed, who's going to be, maintenance of the whole part. And so I'm hoping tomorrow we can come up with some things, even if we have to form another small subcommittee to do the rules, that kind of thing. I mean, we're almost there, almost.
Okay, so maybe next month we'll have
I hope
some more
so.
updates on that.
I hope
Okay.
so.
All right, moving on, 8C, staff. Sarah, do you have any?
The only update that I have is that the board did hire a new buildings and grounds individual last week. Since Bob's retiring June 1st, that person will get on board here.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, has it been announced yet?
I don't think so, I don't know. I mean, I
Okay,
guess it was at a public board meeting, but I
Sure.
don't know.
okay.
That was last, Thursday, that meeting, so.
And so
Still
will
fresh.
there still need to be a part-time person also, or does that person already exist?
My understanding is this buildings and grounds person is part-time, and then they're going to be supplementing that with some contracted work for lawn maintenance and janitorial work. So, I think that is it.
You are correct.
Maybe we can get the new guy to come to the,
Meeting?
yeah,
Okay.
maybe.
I think
When-
that's
when
part of it, I think.
Yeah, when's our, is it June 5th or the,
That's not going anywhere,
Right,
is it?
no.
No,
Oh,
it's
wait.
not going in.
Yeah.
oh, we're not, okay.
Our next meeting, though,
Is June
20th.
20th.
Tuesday.
Tuesday, June 20th.
That open house
That-
on June,
5th is,
Fifth.
we're
Oh.
going to discuss
okay,
that.
yeah.
We're
Okay.
gonna talk about that, yeah.
Okay,
Mhm.
must have missed that one, sorry.
It was in part of her email, I think.
Yeah, must have overlooked that, my bad. Okay. All right. Moving on to business before the Parks Commission. 9A Sea Grant Agreement.
Yeah, so, back at the end of last year, the Parks Commission supported submitting a grant application to Rotary for a seed grant, for community engagement for Holiday Woodlands. So they did, make a decision on it and offered us the grant, so we have this grant agreement that needs to be signed. So I am looking for a recommendation to, sign the seeds grant to move forward with that process. And then the township board will take that up at their next meeting. So, this is, like I said, it's just for community engagement. The, Rotary is providing 10,000, the township is putting 5,000 in. We did put this as a line item in our budget, for this year, in anticipation of this grant process.
Do we have to approve the $5,000 amount, or is that from?
That's
Did we already,
probably the general.
That's already been allocated and done, so.
we already approved that, I thought.
Right, that's all approved. So right now, we just need to approve the agreement so that we can, so the board can accept the money from Rotary.
Agreement is included in the
Does anyone have any concerns with the
agreement's here.
agreement from
Yep, it's
Rotaries?
in the packet there.
I got it. Yeah.
I'll move to enter into this agreement with Rotary Charities to accept the $10,000 to support our work at Holiday Woodlands Natural Area Community Engagement.
Support.
Recommendation township board.
Okay. Motion by Walsh, support by LaRose. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. All right. Moving on, business before the Parks Commission, 9B, Spark Grant application.
So this, open back up the Spark grants, it's due, mid to end of June, the application for Spark grants. So, the state has consolidated their second and third round into one final round of applications. So this will be our last chance at trying to apply for a Spark grant. The minimum amount is $100,000, with a maximum of $1 million for a project. So looking to see if you have any thoughts, on any grant applications for that. I threw out there the community garden, that could be one, option to apply for, because the community garden doesn't fit into a lot of the other state grant programs. So this is an opportunity for a larger grant amount.
Would we
For
be
that.
able to present that like the original, not to do a two-phase?
Yeah, the Parks Commission could decide if you want to do phase 1 or phase 2, both of them at the same time, whatever you'd like to do for that.
Didn't we go out for the first round?
We did the warming hut for the first round,
Oh, that's right.
because we didn't get it through the DNR trust fund, so we put it for Spark grant.
Right.
We're not awarded. And now
We-
we've put it back in for trust fund again.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And I think we had this conversation that if it didn't go through with the Sparks, we'd bring it back around to see where we want to go with that.
Yeah.
You know, I see it two ways. The community garden, because we don't even have a line item for that yet. And go big or go home. I mean, go
I mean,
back to the original. If they're having 100 minimum, 1,000 to max, or the compliance of all the parks, accessibility, ADA. As we've seen on this list, the multitude of changes, I mean, that would be,
Yeah, I don't think we could do the ADA because we'd have to
No.
apply for each park. You can't.
Oh,
you
okay.
can just
We're
say
not
ADA
ready
for
yet.
other parks.
quick.
yeah,
I'm
yeah, okay.
kind of thinking community garden, because, you know, we're in the trust fund round again.
For the warming hut?
They- You know, it seems like there was interest from the DNR there, so I was kind of hoping
Yeah.
that we'll find some success there. So, I mean,
And that
It'd
could
be
maybe, instead
worth-
of having a shelter, we could actually have, like we wanted originally, the public, is a real pavilion that we could rent out.
is what, the max is $1 million on this?
Right.
Yeah, I mean, we could.
What do we got
Well,
to
I mean,
lose?
It's the next closest project we got, like,
Right.
being ready.
It is the closest thing we have.
The only other one that I had mentioned is Jen's Park in there. That was an older project. If you remember, it was to do the ADA walk out to the water and all of
I
that.
think that's,
that-
we haven't even discussed that. I mean, we're getting kind of off the V of what we chose for priority. And that one's going to take a little more because it defunct because the water was too high, I think. And now it's too high again.
Well, that's what I was gonna mention, that Eagle seems receptive to issuing the permits for Jen's Park, so that's why that one got resurrected, just in conversation recently, because it seems like it's more viable. That one does have plans that, you know, are ready to go for it, but I know that the Parks Commission hasn't talked about it recently.
No, and those plans were years ago.
But
I didn't even know if anyone on this board was, when we went through that final,
I was.
I was.
it might be worth, you know, dusting those plans off though, and if it's
By
something
June
that.
26th.
Well, maybe
No,
it's
no, no,
not-
not for the Spark grant, I guess, but,
I just mentioned it for that. I mean, I think the community garden is what you've talked about a lot recently, and the Jen's Park, something that if we want to come back to and talk about of a project that we could continue to
We
move
should
forward.
probably pull those out and reintroduce, because it was good to go. We had the money, we had everything. We had the
So-
permits, we had the money, and then we had a small swamp.
Yeah.
So with the permits all being potentially lined up, wouldn't that help us like fast track that?
It could, I mean, because it's already engineered, you know, it's all designed, it really is ready to go. We'd have to, you know, renew all the permits and do that part, but, you know, that's expected too, through the Spark grant. So the Spark grant, you don't have to have plans, I mean, it can be a conceptual plan, you know, even not as far as long as we are on community garden, if you need it to be.
Do we only get one Spark grant? Can we do two?
You can do two, applications, because you're still allowed to do 3 applications even though there's only 2 rounds. But they do compete, you're competing with yourself then for your applications.
but there could be a
but-
potential
If
that,
it piqued their interest one way or the
Yes, that's my thought, is like, well, I might not give you the community garden because it's too much money, but on the other hand,
Right.
I might give you this access to the water. So,
Yeah. I don't know.
that's interesting.
Why don't we just do both? Why
Yeah,
not?
the majority of that was the ADA kayak launch.
We made a whole new plan without that kayak launch. It was we were
A lot of
wide,
concrete on the sand.
We were
which people are
widening-
Trying to get that through.
we were widening the path, we were widening the path with a stamped natural look that would go back, that would allow for
A vehicle.
yeah,
like that,
vehicle to
yeah,
go back for maintenance. Picnic areas, ADA areas, some new vegetation, some shoreline restoration vegetation back in the trees, planting some new trees.
Yeah, especially now, planting new trees would be nice with the new building next to it, that there wasn't even one red-winged blackbird there.
And, you know, you got that new hotel going in next door, and it'd be nice to try to engage the neighbors to see, you know, what kind of assistance they can provide, and, you know, think of, you know, it's being treated as a park, and, you know, maybe they want to collaborate and help them take care of the beachfront, or who knows. You know, what's everyone think? Do you think we should go with one,
I
or?
mean, I was not a part of the Parks Commission when that Jens Park was going on, but, I mean, it sounds like everything was pretty ready to go.
It was completely done.
If all it takes is us to dust those plans off and get some new permits, and if we could secure some funding to knock out a project, I mean, I'd be,
Well,
Why do
Down.
we have a priority list if we don't stick to it?
Well, if we look at our rec plan,
Well,
We
not-
discussed the three top plans, so I keep going back to the ADA accessibility, warming hut, we already tried the warming hut, it didn't go through. Community garden is number 3. So, at one point.
if you
this
had me
community
vote, I
garden
would vote community
might not
garden.
even go through,
Well-
because nobody seems to have a
The question I
back.
have though is, you know, we could just submit the community garden, or we could submit the what, Johns Park and the
And the
community
community
garden.
garden. I
So the
agree.
community garden's getting submitted regardless, but
Yes.
the question is, do we want to compete against our own grant? You know, I don't know if they're our grant request.
Community
mean-
garden is number 2 on our existing,
I think that's where our priority should stick, but if it's applying for free money, you know, and it's already designed, ready to go, and it would be ADA accessible, I think that kind of knocks off, you know, part of the ADA, you know.
I was just more so thinking, you know, because it was a project that was planned for a little while ago, maybe we look at it and be like, oh, well, you know, they try to get this going, and now they, you know, haven't been done, so maybe they'll, you know, be more keen on going that way.
I will say, Gens is not,
Gens, G-E-N,
I
Gens.
call it what I want. Community fruit, I was gonna say. Is not in the rec plan because we were like, oh, that's done. We checked the box. And so when we did our rec plan, we didn't even put it in there. So that, it needs to, if we're
Well-
gonna go after a grant, it looks better if it's in our rec plan.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's gonna be in it.
Not for Sparks, though.
well, maybe we go with the community garden then, and then Jen's will be discussed for this next master planning and
Okay.
move forward. Because, I mean, yeah, we don't want to move forward if things aren't in the rec plan.
But we would like to see those plans.
Okay,
And I just,
I can pull up my old notes, I don't think I threw them out,
I can, okay.
bring those.
So we would just need a motion to apply for the Spark grant for the community garden, and then I will put Jens Park and those plans on your agenda, even if they're just review and kind of discuss.
Yeah, just to see them.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd like to, I wasn't a part of that, but I would like to see an old plan.
So we need a motion?
Well,
I-
hold on, what are the parameters gonna be for the community garden? Is it gonna be the whole thing?
I would assume that we would apply for the full.
Yeah, because even if, we might as well apply for the whole thing with the actual pavilion, we have those bids, and they're gonna chop it down if they're going to, but why ask for less why set our expectations low? When we could have it complete and not do 2 phases, basically, is the way I'm thinking. And then they could say, well, you know, we can't give it all to you, but we'll give you such and such. I mean, I don't know how it works, I'm just,
well, we have,
How do those typically work when they're granted? Have you seen it in the past?
They usually grant all or nothing, it's not a negotiation
It's not a
typically.
piecemeal?
I mean, I can put in there that we had planned out phase 1 and phase 2, and here's the costs for it, but I don't know that they'll, pick and choose. The
Right.
request is for,
Right.
$1 million or whatever it is.
What was the ballpark for the whole community garden with the pavilion?
It was like oh,
Without
Was
the
that the eight?
pavilion, wasn't that the 800 something?
yeah, I thought it was the 800,
Yeah, and.
just
it
shy
would
of
be nice-
900.
Yeah, it would be nice to have that pavilion in there. But we could look that up. I don't have it right readily. I know Beth probably has it.
Well, that's fine. I mean, the
Yeah.
resolution will have to be done by the township board, so it'll be, I'm sure that pavilions, I mean, it's a $1 million project, I'm guessing.
Right.
Well, we have proven community support for it.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'd like to make an motion to move forward with the Spark Grant application for the community garden of the full entire project cost, about 900,000.
Can we just leave it at the full project cost and not put a dollar amount? Because
Sure.
we're gonna limit it
Well-
if it's
I
under.
like how you worded
Sure.
it, the full,
well-
original, full amount
Yeah, so,
presented, because that was very, very nice. But everybody, it was poo-pooed because of the amount. So we should go back to the original, which was about 900,000.
well, that's what I
or a million.
said, the full project amount at roughly about 900,000.
It was the first plan made.
Yeah. We'll just run with the full project amount, because, that could be $999,000 opposed to 900.
I would
so-
suggest maybe the first full presentation of that park, which was the 900 or 800,000 amount. That was presented to
Is there
the subcommittee and
better ti-
everything.
What's the better title? Do you know which one it is? If we-
No, I mean, I think that for here, just if you say to apply for a Spark grant for the community garden for the whole project, no phasing, that's what we'll apply for.
But the original, because even with the phasing, there's no pavilion in that phasing.
I have phase 1, I don't have phase 2.
Pavilion. Even in the phase 1 and 2, there's no pavilion in there. It's just like a roof. But on the original plans that were presented to all that subcommittee, that very first one from the engineer, that is what was the $900,000, and it was presented to everyone here also. Then it was suggested we come back and do it in phases. Well, that pavilion was phased out.
No, I'm in support, ask for the whole thing.
The original, I'm saying the original that was presented.
However, it needs to be worded.
I understand what you're looking
Yeah, because when you keep saying
for.
phase 1 and phase 2, that first original was the whole deal. And it was,
Whole kit and
it
caboodle.
was nice. Well, obviously for that amount, it was
Is that
very
the one
nice.
that we saw, though?
Yes,
Okay.
it was presented, and then it was suggested that it go back and do it in phases and cut back.
So
So that phase 1 and 2 is a cutback. As you will see, there is no pavilion. No pavilion. on
I was
these.
not here for the big day, the big whole thing presentation.
And at home, I have the original that was presented right over there at that table to that subcommittee, that very first one of 800,000.
Right, if it was presented to the subcommittee, this whole committee may not be aware of exactly what you're talking about, but I know what you're talking about.
You do, okay.
Yeah, it got split into 2 phases after
And
the
some
original
things
cost.
were axed off.
Okay, so my motion needs to be changed.
So you just want to remove the dollar amount from your motion?
I already got it.
Okay.
I was
You
gonna
got
say,
it?
I haven't supported it yet, have I?
No,
No.
you haven't. I just want to make sure when you say phase, to get rid of the word phase 1 and 2, go back to the very original that was
I
presented.
just want to make sure I'm
subcommittee.
understanding
Oh,
everything
that's
completely.
great.
I think your motion said for the complete project.
Yeah, for the full community garden at, and I
Yeah,
said,
I want to be precise.
Okay.
It needs to be the original one that's 800,000.
All right, I'll
You
read,
keep laughing at me, but it's true.
no,
Because
that's why I
there's been
said the
two
full
different
project now.
plans.
All right, I'll remake a motion.
Wait, let me ask. So did the original include or not include the pavilion?
It included,
And that's gonna come under $1 million with the pavilion?
I don't
it
know.
was like 800 to 900,000.
With
That-
the pavilion?
Mhm.
Okay. Okay.
I guess worst case is we ask for $1 million and we either get it or we don't,
Yeah, right.
so.
So
Okay.
why don't we make a motion to move forward with the community garden plans, the ones that include the pavilion,
Okay,
For the Spark grant.
for the Spark grant application.
Support.
all right. Motion by Walsh, support by LaRose. Okay,
Sorry to take your time.
that's fine.
Any discussion on that?
No, I think, yeah. We'll ask for the million and hopefully we can get it. Okay. All right. Oh, yes,
Vote on it.
yeah, sorry. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion passes. Getting distracted. Business before the Parks Commission, 9C, Park and Rec Plan Survey Results. If you look through your packet, looks like there's all kinds of
All kinds of
good,
things in here.
good stuff in here. It looks like there had been 73 participants. Looks like,
That's amazing.
I'd say that's one of our better survey turnouts.
Yeah, and that was just from either the signs in the park or emails that went out. We didn't
Yeah.
do any postcards or anything like that.
No.
It's quite lengthy. I would have hoped for a little more, but it's okay. It's better than zero.
So these are the raw results. We will do a summary and have them included as a chapter in the plan, but I just wanted to get these out to you to take a look at. You can read through them. I think it'll come into more discussion probably when we're looking at action items in individual parks, what we'd like to do in there.
Definitely.
I don't think we have to go into too much detail tonight unless there's just something, you know, that either was surprising to you or you want to make sure that we talk about, you know, in there. To me, I guess I was surprised by how many people use Holiday Woodlands, but then when you look at where they live next to Holiday Woodlands, and that they got a good representation in the survey.
Pines Park was of interest, and I think Kelly Park, which, that isn't really even a park.
That's just a boat launch.
Yeah,
A bad
if
one.
that, it's mainly dumpsters, so, I mean, but there is some really good things. What I was going to do, I notated, you know, throughout the, but like you were saying, I'm gonna notate which park and what was a good idea, and then when we go to bring those up, to bring those forward. There's a lot of interesting things in there. So, I found it very good. Ice rink at Grace McDonald, I thought was a good idea.
Since we were talking about pines, we've made comments in the past about development in the area. And if I'm not mistaken, isn't there a new development going in on 3 Mile?
Yeah.
In between
South of 3 Mile and Potter.
Ike and
Ike,
Potter.
because Ike's the entrance to Pines, right?
Yeah.
So,
Between where? Ike and Potter?
No.
South of Garfield,
It connects with Cinnamon Ridge.
yeah,
Oh, okay, on that
Right.
side of the road then.
Old
The-
cornfield,
South of
You go.
3 Mile and Potter,
yes.
right? Potter, yeah, south of 3 Mile and Potter. Is where the new subdivision's going.
So it's on the same side as the township is, that side of the road? The Cinnamon
Opposite,
Ridge?
opposite.
Cinnamon Ridge is down Potter on the right,
Oh, back in.
and this will be in front of it,
Yeah.
abutting it.
Off of 3 Mile Road? Okay.
Here's,
And they'll have access onto Saffron Circle.
we'll have access on Ike? Not yet,
Not
we're
yet.
not quite there
We're
yet.
not doing anything with that right now.
Okay. But that development is then pushing towards that park, which is something that I remember as a young park commissioner, we were keeping our eye on to kind of be ready for the inevitable of the area being developed, is to start spending time and money on Pines.
So Pines Park.
At least we
Yeah,
have a
it'd be-
plan already.
Future park, I mean. What is that, Frisbee?
Frisbee golf.
Yep, Frisbee golf was another suggestion, of course, dog park, bike paths, which we haven't even discussed any bike paths, and how they're doing those nowadays, the electric bike compared to the mountain bike, compared to the regular bike. But, so we haven't even thought of those kinds of things, at least the bike paths, those were also brought up.
A lot of those trends are really, really fresh still, so it's really kind of hard to know.
I mean,
Well, disc golf's no longer a trend. I think it's here to stay, and the comments were that because it went away at,
Mount Holiday.
no,
Go rec.
Go Rec.
Go right, yeah.
'Cause Mount Holiday lost their
I'm at Holiday too.
frisbee golf.
Pines, years ago, we talked about Pines and the Frisbee golf.
And Holiday Woodlands could be, that might come
Right.
out during the Holiday Woodlands community engagement as
Mhm.
well. I would bet.
I know a lot of people commented about keeping it more of a quiet area.
Yeah, Holiday Woodlands. We talked about it on our parks tour at the Water Tower Park, incorporating.
And even the water tower might be something that we could use more of that kind of activity, and sort of keep the woodlands more in the nature and the paths and trails. But anyways,
All right.
neither here nor
Well,
there.
I mean, maybe on some of your own time, I mean, read through some of that and come with ideas for taking that into account with the 5-year plan, incorporating some of the needs from the public, so.
Just thoughts on that. So for myself, what I'm going to do with that survey, like I said, I'm going to have little stick-ons with what park and what was of interest, that sort of
Mhm.
struck my heart on those. But I do want to add this in our food for thought when we're doing the ADA, or when we talked about maintenance for the parks, especially like filling the play areas with
Wood chips?
some wood chips. So oddly enough, I got her name from one of these reports, and she finally called me back. I forgot I had called her. She's Alana Leahy. She's the Associate Director of the Disability Network. And I asked her, what would she suggest? And I also asked her about the path behind Cowell Cancer Center that goes along that stream there, Kids Creek, what that is, because I was with someone that's handicapped that had a scooter, and it's compact, and she knew right off what it was. So I was very excited, because I've asked even Elmer's, they weren't even sure of it. She said it's granite. And she said, we need a fine level of porous, and she suggested maybe a limestone if we can't do granite. That's for pathways, to make people that are, have handicap wheelchairs or walkers. And hands down, I did ask her for a little task, if she could go back and come up with a different solution, but hands down, recycle rubber for the kids. She says, no way, do not do wood chips, no way. So I'm just letting you know, recycle rubber, she said, for the kids' play area. And
As far as mobility, or?
as far as for the kids' playground area. Now, she said she would try to see if there was some other thing that we could use other than that recycled rubber. And she hasn't gotten back to me. But as far as for walking paths, it was either granite or fine, a fine level of crushed limestone, or porous limestone, she called it.
I wonder if she's familiar with the type of wood chips for the playground where it's tumbled.
Well, she is the associate director of the Disability Network. I would think she would know.
A lot of people don't, though.
Yeah, 'cause
Even
they're
in those
special, more
jobs.
Well, she's-
expensive wood
She's
chip.
the Disability
She's
Network.
looking at it through the lens of disability.
Yes.
But, we have to look. at
And
safety.
she was very concerned. I mean, she, like, definitely do not do wood chips, quote unquote. Definitely no
Well-
wood chips.
Are there parks around town that have the,
The rubber?
yeah?
Yes.
What are they?
Now, I'm thinking.
Give me an hour, I'll remember.
Was it
Blair.
Brian?
Blair put it in.
Brian or
Isn't it Civic Center?
over there?
Civic Center has wood chips,
Dunn's Corners, Blair.
because that's,
Blair,
Yeah.
Blair has
New
a-
one, when
preferred.
they upgraded their,
Both of them. One of them's a poured in place they put in, and the other one was like squares that they put in for the rubber.
at where and where?
At Blair, both of them.
Oh, Blair has two different types.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I want to say maybe Kingsley, the public park there by the library.
But, that's definitely a bigger project. It's not like you're putting in ground up rubber like wood chips. It's something they're solid.
Well, or
Poured
she
in
said,
place?
Yeah.
Yeah, that-
recycled rubber.
Is Elmwoods the Great Lakeville Harbor Park? Is that,
Oh,
because that's an ADA. When it was put in, it was an ADA. I don't know if the standards have changed.
like, if you go to Twin Lakes Park, you'll see that's all ADA accessible. And it's poured in place. And poured in place is a good direction to go, but it is
What is that?
very costly. And then you have to keep up with it, and there's like certain, impact tests that you have to do with it, and, having the equipment to do that, or finding a playground inspector could be challenging too, because there's not very many in this area, or in the state, for that matter. But I mean, yeah, I
So
mean,
to all you young people out there, if you're looking for a career.
Yeah, that's why I think when Blair did it, they did I may be wrong, I think they did poured in place for the first round, and then the second phase of it, they did like the blocks of it, because then you could take it out and replace it, should they either get damaged or, like under the swings or something like that. I think is what happened, if I remember
I mean,
correctly.
everything's gonna have the pros and
it's on
cons
their
to it,
website.
oh, nice. That's
It's
very
got the
nice.
blue,
Oh, yeah, I've been there.
oh, yeah.
I mean, to me, it sounds like the rubber might be a long-term plan or major overhaul of a park,
Right.
but
But I did get the answer. I was more excited about the granite for that, the walkability of the.
Yeah.
Yeah, and what we were looking for the community garden. Now that we've had all those AD evaluations in all the parks, it might be something that could be carried out forward.
Yeah, well, if we're gonna consider any kind of change of the playground material, I think we should definitely do some extra thinking behind that, because,
We probably have to go out for some grants.
well, maybe not. It just
Sure, it's
depends what scope,
expensive.
because I've always heard that tumbled wood chips were kind of the preferred, a mix between that and poured in place. And I've heard, good things and bad things about the little rubber pellets from tires, and because they could heat up in the sun, get hot. Animals could eat it, a lot of different things. It just, but, doesn't mean it doesn't work. It just, I don't know which one's the best, and I don't know if that would be the best. Like,
And what are you calling it, pour in place?
poured in place, yeah.
Blue and Blair.
Yeah. I wonder if that heats up.
It does, well, so, I say poured in place is a good, because the Twin Lakes playground area is probably like, 20 years old or something, and the poured in place there is still holding strong.
No
Looking
kidding.
good.
Twin Lakes has poured in place.
What is it, port or
Pour.
spell it?
Pour it, like pouring a glass of water.
Oh, pour.
they're pouring rubber and
Oh,
laying like, it's not concrete, but
or
You're
even,
like-
you're suggesting if they came in like cubes, then you could replace like a certain cube.
And I don't know how it stood up out there, because Blair's they put that in like '08, '09, so.
I think theirs is holding up pretty well too, that's one of our frequent playgrounds that we visit, so.
Well, the good news is we can communicate with them and say, if you did it over,
Right,
Yeah.
yeah.
you know, what are the pros
On
and
my eyes,
cons?
20 years is,
That's pretty doggone.
That's
good.
pretty
Yeah.
I
good.
mean, they're saying 20 years for this grant is like the life of your building or how long you have to keep it open for type of thing, so 20 years.
Yeah.
Very good.
Isn't that depressing?
and our equipment at Grace McDonald still is looking fantastic, so I mean, if we're gonna do something, why not? Like,
Do we know, speaking of that, I'm sorry, but like for immediate action and that, will somebody be looking at that or Beth be looking at what is going to be achieved, to get the immediate fixes for these parks? Like,
Oh, yeah.
one is that Grace Power Wash that us kids play.
Yep, so,
Okay.
yeah, when we get to that part of the agenda of the park,
Oh,
the
okay.
debriefing that's on there, we can talk about
Gotcha,
each of those
okay.
items, but,
I see it now. Okay.
Yeah,
so we're still talking about the survey, though.
Mhm.
all right.
No, wait,
Good
wait.
information.
Are we?
Well, we kind of got,
Maybe.
okay. All right, we're moving on now.
Nice survey, thank you.
I
Yeah.
like one of my favorite comments is, need more access to the water.
Yeah.
Yes, we do, and we almost had it.
All right, business before the Parks Commission, 9D. Looks like we need to reschedule
Yes.
to
That
September.
was a good suggestion, why?
Yeah, so in talking with Beth about advertising, and I think this was mentioned too, because when we talked about it at the Parks Commission, or maybe it was with something else, how are we gonna advertise this? We thought the newsletter would be the most effective and inexpensive way to do that, and so that goes out with the tax bills that go out July 1st. September is a horrible month to try to do any community engagement because everybody's going back to school or realize they need to take their kids somewhere because they're going back to school, so there's lots going on. So I would look into September as a time to do that. We do need to set a date though, because I need to get the newsletter stuff put together so that they can put it with the tax bills here at the beginning of June. So that's why I would like to schedule something in September. I don't.
You don't think that people are going to forget about it?
No, because tax bills are due September 14th, so people are opening their tax bill just to pay it. And that'll give us opportunity to put it on the website and reach out to the news and things like that too. So September's a good time, plus things just start to calm down then. Looking into September with my calendar and the township calendar.
First day of school is the 5th
Thank you.
Okay,
for TCAPS.
so I
What
don't.
about scheduling it like before our meeting that same day?
That's what I was just gonna say, we have a meeting September 18th, if we wanted to do it that day, and we could just even, if we did, because we had talked about doing like 4 to 6.
4 to 6, yeah.
So we could have our regular meeting at 6 o'clock, or even 6:30, depending on what that looked like. Then we don't have to try to get together another night, that could you just do
Yeah.
one night.
Plus, that's a couple weeks into the school, so
Yeah,
you're getting in your routine.
Can we have food?
yeah,
You can?
Or something to entice people?
Just
so
cost money.
September
Order some
18th,
pizza.
from 4 to 6,
Yeah.
Pizza would be
So I
good.
think
you like
it's
that?
So that, again, is just to, like, reveal our, discuss Parks and Rec plan, reveal the,
Yeah, so what we're gonna, most of the open house would be to try to prioritize our action items. So we'll come up with a list of items that we think people wanna see in the next 5 years in your plan, and then kind of have them vote on it to determine which ones bubble up to the top. Usually leave it open-ended too, like what do we miss, or is there something that's not on this list that you'd like to
Right.
see as an open-ended? And usually we'd focus on a couple of, high-priority parks for that as well to move forward with. We may be able to coordinate a little bit with the Holiday Woodlands community engagement component. There may be a part that's dedicated just to that park, related to that. I don't know if it's gonna work out or not, timing of that, but it'd be nice if we could double up on it.
When do you hear back from the Sparks grant then?
Sometime in September or October
Okay.
for Sparks, so. Okay, so September 18th, 4 to 6,
Yep.
okay?
Do I need to,
Don't need to do anything.
okay. I think that'll work best.
And then all of us could maybe be here too.
Yeah.
That'd be really nice.
Perfect, okay.
Yeah, I guess we can talk on details. We have some time now.
Yeah,
All right, moving on, business before the Parks Commission at 9E, park visit debrief. So, yeah, this is where we can have some more discussion on this.
yeah, and I think to address your comment, Susan, that you just had a couple of minutes ago, a majority of this stuff would just be put on Bob's list, the new Bob's list.
Is his name Bob?
No, I don't know what his name is. I don't even know that it's a man, I'm making assumptions that
Oh,
it's a man.
that's
There's a
true.
man that's named
You
something.
are right. You are right.
So, whoever the employee is for the park system, buildings and grounds, to work through most of these. And we did have some money built into the budget, so some of these items like, picnic tables and things like that, we had a little bit of money kind of put away for ADA and things like that. So what I can do is, like last year, put together kind of a spreadsheet of all the items, who's responsible for it, and that way Beth can work through that with the employee, and then if there's items that need to be done by, the Parks Commission, we can work on those. I'm not sure there's anything too big
Under immediate?
for, for Parks Commission, I don't think there's really anything. I guess probably the immediate action for the Water Tower Park, and that's kind of to figure out what the plan and what we want to do there. So that would be a Parks Commission item to work through. But a lot of these are items that they can just work through this summer when they're out in the parks.
Cornhole. Didn't she buy it?
Yeah, I thought she bought those
It was
cement
like, was
ones.
it 2 summers ago?
Yes.
Yeah, there's a concrete area, right, for.
There's
cornhole?
No.
it was horseshoes.
Right,
And so I was under the impression that she purchased these cement cornholes, permanent cornhole fixtures.
And Bob was gonna lay that concrete for those, and
Yeah.
there's no concrete there.
I will ask. I know we talked about it at the sledding party. Beth was talking about it, so.
I think we have them, but the problem is they're next to the tennis courts, is getting this surface to be able to hold the weight of concrete boards. Because
Well,
you can't just
She had
set them.
talked about getting Bob to lay the.
Yeah, someone
floor
needed,
for it.
someone needed to do something with creating a proper surface to set those on and mount them to, so.
Okay, and that wasn't on your list, right?
It was not.
Okay, but I'm gonna just mention it on the list, because that was something that, I was under the assumption it was done, but it wasn't done, so I'm sure there's a reason. Well, get you an answer.
How are we doing on getting this going again?
Well, we looked at those 2 sections last month. I need to do the park inventory, and then we will be, community engagement's one whole chapter, and so we'll wait for open house to finish that. So I have the first part done for the survey, kind of a summary of the survey.
Okay.
And then the last chapter is your action items. So probably, you'll be seeing some more chapters this summer. So either
Yeah,
probably
because-
June and July.
It needs to be done by the December for this year, correct?
It
Oh,
needs to be.
25.
It needs to be submitted by February
on the front.
1st, so I'm looking to get a final draft.
This only goes to 2023, through
Right.
2023.
Oh.
So it doesn't have to be adopted by December, but January, so we're looking, end of the year is usually what we shoot for, so. We'll keep working through it, and we gotta get the input from the open house and then turn that around and get it out for public review, so.
That's probably why we were gonna move up that open house due to that fact, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, yeah.
It's okay, though.
And then we have our list.
But we could do a workaround.
This
Yeah,
is
do a workaround.
crappy notes.
Well, that's what I mean, the open house is gonna be finalizing kind of our last chapters, so by then you'll already have a draft, we're gonna be working on organizing and finalizing, so October, we should be able to get that out.
Hammond and Trail. What is
All right. So anyone have any other questions or comments for Parks visit debrief?
Is Arbutus, like?
No.
I was gonna ask, is there like something across the driveway or anything? Is it washed out, just,
I was there today.
oh, okay.
They staked out with 6 wooden posts where the bathroom is. And then along, you know how we have to do the drain field underneath, there was some more wooden posts. And other than that, there were people there fishing and
How is the retaining
kayaking.
wall?
Oh, it's
Is that-
awful. It's awful.
I mean, is it dangerous? Like, we should put cones
It-
out not to go near that?
Well, it's
area, or-
supposed to be closed. It's supposed to be closed
Oh, this was
today.
start working this week.
They were
yeah.
supposed to start working today. It should technically be closed. According to what we talked about Monday at the,
It was on the website.
That's fine.
There is a note on the website, I saw that today, it's like, Arbutus 5 will be closed all summer.
Well, I'm sure once they get equipment there, it'll be quite obvious,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
they're in a very
Oh,
early
no,
stage of,
Should we put a big park closed sign across like the big rule sign?
they'll ignore it.
yeah.
Yeah, so I was disappointed that when I went there, there was no, and I went there, it was like 3:15 in the afternoon. So it's not like they would have went home.
Well, it's hard to say.
Stakes, meaning there was like the stakes with the orange ribbon and stuff on them, that kind of staking? Or you
Yeah.
said posts, but, okay.
No, like just like a
Stake.
little wooden stake
Okay,
that was written on.
okay, good, so they.
And the footprint wasn't as big as I thought it would be.
It always looks smaller than it is when it's done like that.
We'll see.
We'll see. Okay. Well, if there's nothing else on that, it doesn't look like we have any public for public comment.
Nope.
Nope, okay. Upcoming meeting dates, June 20th, 2023, it's a Tuesday.
Yes,
Just to
that's our next meeting.
Make everyone,
Yeah, moved because of the holiday for the Monday, so we're on to Tuesday
yeah,
Yeah.
for that. So we'll be looking at some more sections of the Park and Rec plan. And we'll see, I should have an update maybe on the Holiday Woodlands. So we are going to have to do a quick RFP for the work for Holiday Woodlands for that community engagement. So we did have a proposal from Megan Olds that we originally kind of tried to budget around. But lately, the board's been asking for proposal and bids on a lot of work. So we're gonna just do a quick proposal for that, or request for proposal. So that'll probably get started, probably not till July, I would guess, that community engagement. But
To
okay.
backtrack a little bit, do we have all the information we need for that Spark grant application?
yeah, we should have everything. I need to get a resolution from the township board. We have a lot of the site plans and information. Probably some letters of support would be what I do need for it, so.
Do we still have that grant writer?
I think so, yeah. So, we'll work through that application. This one's a little bit, you know, some of the other grants are very structured. This one is very,
Loosey-goosey?
kind of, I mean, you're required to answer certain questions, but, you know, you're not even required to have a park plan to apply for this Spark grant like you have for other things, so.
Wow.
You don't have to have plans, you know, it could be a concept and different things, so it's,
$1
It's a
million
lot different.
on a concept?
huh?
$1 million on a concept?
Yeah,
We're a little further than a concept.
yeah, oh, absolutely, but yeah, for their application requirements, you can,
It's just to allow more entities to apply
Yeah.
for it.
yep.
All right.
So I think we're good for that. If we need anything, I'll have to ask you at your June meeting. I think they're due like June 23rd or something.
26.
And I
26.
think, I don't know, I'll look on the old email, I think you were looped in on that first original one
Yeah.
that sent out.
Mm-hmm. So, okay.
Yeah, there's a full week after our meeting that has to be turned in.
Yeah.
It's a good sign. Doesn't usually work out that way.
Right. Yeah, should we need anything? I don't think so, but you never know.
All right, anything else? No, all right. I'd like to adjourn the meeting for Monday, May 22nd, 2023 at 7:11 PM.
Support.
Motion by Andrus, support by LaRose. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Meeting adjourned.